Imagine a crime so serious that for thousands of years, the punishment wasn't a fine, or prison, or exile. It was immediate death. And the contraband in question, it wasn't a weapon, and it wasn't a narcotic. It was a worm, or more specifically, the eggs of a moth. For centuries, the Chinese dynasties sat on the most valuable industrial secret in human history. They controlled the creation of a fabric so light, so strong, and so beautiful that the rest of the world was driving itself into debt just to get a piece of it. The Romans were absolutely obsessed with it, hemorrhaging millions in gold to buy it, even while their leaders called it immoral and degenerate. Today, we're going to track the story of the world's first great industrial espionage, how a cup of tea started a global trade network, and how two monks with hollow walking sticks finally broke the greatest monopoly the world has ever seen. To understand why this fabric was worth killing for, we have to go back nearly 5,000 years. According to legend, it all started by accident in the Garden of the Yellow Emperor, around 2600 BCE. Picture the Empress, Lady Lizu. She's sitting under a mulberry tree enjoying a hot cup of tea. Suddenly, a small cocoon falls from the branches above and plops right into her steaming cup. Now, most of us would just fish it out and throw it away. But Lizu notices something. The heat of the tea causes the cocoon to start unraveling. She grabs a loose end and pulls, and pulls, and pulls. She realizes this isn't just a shell. It's a single, continuous strand of thread. In fact, a single silkworm cocoon can unravel into a thread over 1,000 meters long. That's more than 10 football fields from one tiny insect. Lizu realized the potential immediately. She invented the reels to spin it and the looms to weave it, becoming the legendary goddess of silk. But the process was brutal. To get that perfect continuous thread, you can't let the moth hatch. If it hatches, it cuts the silk to escape, so the silkworms have to be boiled alive inside their cocoons. The resulting fabric was spectacular. It was light, breathable, and tough. It became so valuable in China that it was actually used as money. You could pay your taxes in bolts of silk. And because it was literally cash, the emperors knew they had to lock it down. They established a strict ban. Anyone caught smuggling silkworms or eggs out of China was executed. While China kept the lights off, the fabric eventually found its way west. And when it hit Rome, it caused absolute chaos. The Romans had never seen anything like it. They were used to wool and linen. Suddenly, here is the shimmering material that feels like water against the skin. But it came with a massive price tag. Pliny the Elder, a famous Roman author, crunched the numbers in the 1st century. He estimated that Rome was sending 100 million sesterces every year to the east to pay for luxuries like silk. He basically complained that Rome was bleeding its treasury dry just to look fancy. But it wasn't just the money that upset the old guard. It was the morality. You see, silk is incredibly thin. Pliny ranted that silk dresses were so transparent that they barely covered anything, claiming they revealed a woman's naked charms, even when she was fully dressed. He felt that Roman manners were degenerating because even the men started wearing silk to deal with the summer heat. Here is the crazy part. The Romans had no idea what they were buying. They knew it came from the Seres people, their word for the Chinese, but they didn't know it came from a worm. Pliny actually wrote that silk was made from a downy hair that grew on leaves, which the Chinese combed off and spun into thread. So, you have the most powerful empire in the West, addicted to a product they don't understand, paying a fortune to a distant empire they've rarely met, all while their politicians argue about whether the fabric is making everyone too naked. For centuries, this trade imbalance continued. The secret held firm. But eventually, cracks appeared. The secret first leaked to Korea, and then to Japan, carried by immigrants and, according to some stories, kidnapped maidens. But the West was still paying premium prices. Fast forward to the 6th century CE. The Roman Empire has fallen in the West, but the Byzantine Empire is going strong in the East, ruled by Emperor Justinian. Justinian is tired of paying exorbitant prices to Persian middlemen for Chinese silk. He wants his own supply. Enter two monks. These monks had spent time in China. They knew the secret. They knew it wasn't wool from trees, it was worms. They approached Justinian with a daring proposal. They would go back to the source and steal the technology. But you can't just walk across the border with a box of worms. You'd be searched and killed, so they came up with a plan straight out of a spy movie. They took their bamboo walking staffs, the kind travelers used to hike through the mountains, and hollowed them out. They acquired the silkworm eggs, the tiny grain-like seeds of the industry, and hid them inside the hollow canes. To keep the eggs from freezing in the high mountains or hatching too early in the heat, they reportedly wrapped them in dung to insulate them. They trekked thousands of miles past border guards and checkpoints, looking like two harmless holy men, all while carrying the most valuable industrial secret on Earth in their walking sticks. They made it back to Constantinople. The eggs hatched, and from those few stolen eggs, the Byzantine silk industry was born, breaking the monopoly forever. That heist changed the economic landscape of the world. The Byzantines became a silk powerhouse in their own right. But even though the monopoly was broken, the network it created, the Silk Road, remained. It started because of a desire for a luxury fabric, but it ended up becoming the arteries of the ancient world, carrying religions like Buddhism, technologies like papermaking, and cultures across continents. It proves that globalization isn't new. We've always been connected, sometimes by greed, sometimes by art, and sometimes by a couple of monks with hollow sticks.